Hello, it's Elisa here. So today another interesting video, and today I want to answer another your Tumblr question. And if you have your own question, you can also go to my Tumblr, ask a question. I will answer them by writing, or if I think they are helpful to many people, I will make a video like this one. So I will read the question. Hi Elisa, I have followed your advice and have been doing great. My problem is that my boyfriend has very disordered eating. He is low carb and very restrictive for days and then binges massively. He says it's fun. He's always talking about food, his weight, and that carbs or sugar are poison. He gives me judgmental looks when I eat pasta, bread. He truly does not understand my problem or see his own. I feel very uncomfortable around him. Any advice on how to protect my recovery? So the person is trying to recover and change her own eating behaviors and recover from eating disorders. And the more you recover, I have definitely seen it in my recovery and coming out of this diet brainwash, the more you can actually see how many people in today's world and society are actually dieting, and how often we talk about diets, losing weight, different foods, what is healthy, what is not healthy, what to eat, what not to eat. And if you try to distance yourself from that in recovery, then you can actually see that it's everywhere, and the triggers of dieting, weight loss, body image, they're everywhere. So what I will say is that the realistic thing is to just see that we cannot eliminate those kind of triggers, but we can start to develop our own positive behaviors and also educate ourselves about eating disorders, recovery, why diets do not work, why diets induce all these eating disorder behaviors. And really the knowledge will help you to grow your intuitive eating muscle, I will say. It will make you mentally so strong. And if you have the knowledge and base of how our body works and how diets do not work, then you have the strong base to really not be affected about these triggering talks. Or for example, let's say that you are with your boyfriend or with a close friend and they are having this diet talk and just triggering you. Then you can just start to notice the diet talk and just see it from the distance and see that the person who is constantly or currently doing the diet, they think that this is the most healthy thing they're doing and it's working. And it was definitely how it was for me. When I was into this raw food and high carb, low fat vegan or whatever, I also thought that this is the ultimate diet and only way to be healthy for the rest of my life. And maybe for some people it is, but at the end of the day, we have to see what works for us. And if something makes me eating disordered or binge prone or having these obsessions around foods or creates a lot of stress around foods and eating, then this is not healthy and I have to change something. So just know that the person who is on the diet, they might not see it at that way because they're just not ready, and for them maybe the diet is currently working. But just know that there will be some backlash, especially because you already say that your boyfriend is restricting and then binging. So I don't know, this kind of cycle, it's not sounding like something healthy and it's not sustainable for a long run. And it's like a red flag, like the first red flag that what he's doing is not working and it's not sustainable in the long run. So I really hope that he will wake up someday and maybe by then he will need your help. And just lead by example and just educate yourself about recovery. And then no matter what everybody says or what you read about diets or what you see in your news feed or in TV, it won't affect you. Knowledge is power and it will keep you strong in your recovery course and in your intuitive eating and trusting your body. And my own experience is that I don't want to say anything bad about my friend because she's like one of my best friends and everything, but I just want to talk about my experience. And she didn't do it knowingly, and she also had problems with eating, and now she's in a much better place. But when I started my recovery, me and my friend and our boyfriends, we went to this like traveling trip. And I was back then only 1 month into my recovery, and I wasn't strong like mentally. I had like basically little clue like what I was actually doing in regards to recovery. And of course I had many doubts in myself, like, am I doing it right? Like, should I eat more healthfully? Or you know, like all these like doubts about yourself and recovery. Is this working or whatever? And you feel like every person who is trying something different, they will affect you, and it's basically like it's very triggering. But in first or second month in my recovery, we went to this trip, and yeah, it was very triggering for me because my friend was trying to eat in a certain way. And in one point I really saw it. I saw it through because I've been there, and I know what it's like to be restrictive and have this food fears and eating disorder. So I noticed like many similar behaviors. And okay, like of course from the outside she was stating like, oh, she feels good, everything is fine. But if you have been through eating disorder, you really start to notice that what they're doing is not making themselves like any happier. But somehow I pushed through. Really, it was like most triggering traveling experience for me, especially because I was just in recovery, and traveling, being away from your normal foods in your food comfort zone, it is very hard, especially in the like the first months of recovery. And of course I don't recommend it, but at the same time it was like a huge like growing experience for me. And later, actually, when we were flying back from the trip, my friend sat next to me in a plane, and she told me everything. And she told me about how she was looking at me, how I was eating, and how I wasn't restricting anything. And she really wished that she could also eat that way and be more intuitive. And she was having this anxieties around food, and she tried to eat healthy at the same time craving some other foods. So really, if you see some people like dieting, whatever, and in their mind maybe they're telling you, oh, it's working, it's totally fine, like don't worry, then you don't really know what's really going on. Maybe at the end of the day they go home and they're like obsessed about foods, they maybe binge, they maybe gain weight, and have this constant battle with this diet. So you really can't never say if they're truly happy what they're doing, and most of the time they're not happy. And 99% of the diets fail. If you restrict your body, you cannot sustain it. That's for sure. And maybe in one point, a period of 1 month is like seems working, or like half a year or whatever, but they will have many eating disorder symptoms like binging, obsessions about foods. So just if you know about recovery and all this, then you can really rationalize and see that what you are doing with intuitive eating and listening to your body and recovering is actually the only way out. And that really, for me, this kept me in course. The more I read about diets, like scientific studies, like the Minnesota starvation experiment, also experience of other people who went through recovery, then it really made me like a strong person mentally and not responding to triggers. Because triggers will be there, but if you grow your like mental muscle and knowledge here, then the triggers won't affect you. And last but not least is that you can actually talk with your friend or boyfriend or family member, whoever it is you are like triggered by. Maybe you don't want to talk about like a random stranger who says something, but if it's your like close friend, like best friend, or your like boyfriend or family member, then you can really talk with them. And if they are worthy of your friendship or being your like boyfriend or whatever, then they would understand. And even if they want to continue dieting, they would still support your recovery. Like every normal person like understands when people want to recover from eating disorders. And if they don't understand, then quite frankly, like, goodbye, you are not my best friend, you are not good for me, like, as a boyfriend. I couldn't even imagine like sacrificing myself and my health for like anybody, quite honestly, because I simply know how disastrous are the eating disorders, and yeah, there is no life with eating disorders. So I might as well have few boyfriends less or few friends less if I can recover and be healthy again. So you don't have to make exceptions or feel that you are like a bad friend or whatever, because every normal person should understand about why a person wants to recover from such a serious thing as eating disorder. So always, like, first thing, talk with them and just see what they think, how they respond. You can give them some time so they can maybe change their behaviors, at least around you. But if time goes by, like many months, and nothing is changing, you constantly feel triggered despite they know how you feel about it, then yeah, honestly, like, goodbye. So yeah, these are some of my thoughts about triggers and generally like what it was like for me. And yes, I was triggered more in my recovery, but as the time goes by, I learned from recovery and how diets don't work and how intuitive eating is best for my body. I simply saw it from the results I had, having had this like binge eating and bulimia and food obsessions, and how now I can eat normally again. It simply makes you kind of immune for all the triggers, and you are just not affected by it because you know it's not working, and what you are doing with like intuitive eating and be fully recovered, it is working. So yeah, we cannot eliminate triggers. What we can do is just grow in ourselves, grow our knowledge, and yeah, it will just make us strong and we are not responding to triggers anymore. So these are my thoughts, and yeah, you can always like this video if you find it helpful. Also, you can subscribe to my YouTube channel. So yeah, thank you for watching and see you in my next video. Bye!